Hello and a hearty welcome to all my students. This is Ajit Anthony, teacher at Mount Litra Z School, Jhansi. In this video, we are going to discuss the topics related to chapter number 5. So, without wasting any time, let's begin. In this chapter, we are going to discuss the various processes which are helpful for us to separate the substances or material which are dissolved or mixed together. The very first topic that we are going to discuss, or the process that we are going to discuss, is hand picking. As the name itself suggests, that this process is being done by our hands. That means it is a process which is done manually. For example, you might have gone to the market to purchase grains like wheat, rice, dal, or pulses, etc. And you have noticed that in that grains some impurities or unwanted substances are also there, and before to cook that grains we need to remove that unwanted substances. So you might have noticed that your mother or grandmother used to take the grains like this lady is doing in the picture, and one by one they remove the impurity or the unwanted materials like stone, wood or stake, etc. from the grains. So removing the unwanted materials from the grains by our hands is called hand picking. Now we are going to discuss the points on what all conditions that hand picking can be done. First point, quantity of the mixture to be separated is small. That means the hand picking is a process which can be done if the grain or whatever material you are having, which has to be hand picked, but the material should be in a lesser amount. B, the substances to be removed in the mixture obviously different in shape, size and color. That means all the unwanted material that we need to remove from the grain, it should be of different shape, size or color. C, the unwanted material is limited in the quantity. That means the unwanted material which we are wanting to remove from the grain should be in a lesser amount, because otherwise it will be a very hectic task for us to remove the unwanted material which would be there in a larger quantity. D, it is assumed that the time required for this process is to complete is ample. Means depending upon the amount of quantity of unwanted material present in the grain, the time or the process of hand picking will be depending on the amount of quantity present in the grains. Yes. The another process that we are going to discuss today is threshing. Threshing is a process which is done manually, like the process called hand picking. That means both these process is done manually. This process, that is threshing, is usually being done by the farmers after the harvesting is done. After the harvesting of the crop, farmer makes a bundle of the grains which is there shown in this picture. After that, farmers remove the grains from the dried stem, that is called stake. How they are going to remove? They beat the crop into a solid base, that is the wood or a stone. By beating, what happens? The grains removes from the stalk, that is the dried stem, and thus how, by the help of this process, that is threshing, the grains are removed from the dried stem. Another process that we are going to discuss is sieving. Sieving is a process by which a coarse particles is being separated from a finer particles. You have noticed that a stainer, which we call it as channi in Hindi, which is there at home, which is used to separate tea leaves from the tea. By this, what we are doing, actually we are separating the tea leaf from the tea. Like that, we can use the sieve, which we call as chhanni, to separate the solid particle or a solid bigger solid particles from a finer particles. Like example, stones from a wheat flour, stones from a sugar powder, etc. By this process, that is sieving, we can separate the coarse particles from a finer particles. Another process that we are going to discuss today is winnowing. Winnowing is a process which is also being done by the farmers, and it is the process which is done after the process of threshing. That means it is a process which is done by the farmers after the threshing process is done. In this process, the lighter particles is separated from the heavier particles. What actually happens over here, the farmer stands at a height and drops the material from a basket which contain the grains and other unwanted particles. What happens in this, after allowing the particles from the basket to fall on the ground, the heavier particles falls down immediately due to its weight, whereas the lighter particles, due to its lighter in weight, floats in air and settles down after traveling into a particular distance, and thus making another heap or a pile separated from the grains. Thus, by this process, that is winnowing, we can easily separate the lighter particle from the heavier particle. Hope you all have enjoyed this session. Thank you.